I just met this young man. Looking forward to hearing his story. Tonight's speaker is Brandon S. from the East Buford Group.
My name is Brandon. I'm an alcoholic. Glad to be here. Oh, I needed to do something like this. So I'm going to try and do my best to say what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. As a kid, I mean, I had a pretty good childhood. I mean, I don't have any complaints really. Yeah, it wasn't perfect, but overall, you know, I had a lot of good memories. Yeah. So I mean, that was cool, and yeah, I don't think really had much issues up until right before I got into high school. So I grew up playing a lot of music. I'm a musician, and I was pretty obsessed with that for most of my childhood and early adolescence. And so yeah, I think yeah, I was pretty serious about that and obsessive. That was like my first obsessive addiction for sure, and definitely helped me escape a lot of things. And But yeah, I remember right before I got into high school, I was taken advantage of by my piano teacher, and after that, I remember starting to feel anxiety and weird stuff, you know, about myself after that experience. So you know, I went through high school, most of high school, without ever having a drink or using any kind of drug. And I kind of just threw myself into music and played more and practiced all day and just tried to be the best I could be and perfect at that, hoping that would make myself feel better in the long run. And you know, my junior year, I got injured actually because I played a little too much and I hurt my hands, and I had to stop playing. And yeah, I remember wasn't really sure what to do with myself at that point. All my friends I played music with, so I shortly didn't have any friends to hang out with because they were all gigging and having fun. And you know, I had some friends that had dipped their toes in drinking and smoking pot, and you know, I always had a little bit of interest in that. Just it seemed kind of cool, and you know, the whole musician thing. Like a lot of them do that kind of stuff, so I thought that'd be a good chance for me to maybe explore some of that. But yeah, leading up to that, I mean, I had now what I know is like some depression, anxiety in high school. After I stopped playing, I would come home and just lay in bed all day and not do much. So anyway. Eventually, I got introduced to a certain substance shortly before I started drinking alcohol, and yeah, I remember the first time I had that. I felt pretty great. All that anxiety and depression went away pretty quickly, and I found my new thing for sure. And shortly after that, I found my first drink. Was actually on a boat with a friend, and was trying to introduce him to this new green leaf that I found. And he had a bottle, and he gave me some of that, and that was really nice. I can't forget how that felt, you know, going down, and like the burning, that bite. I really liked that, and I just felt like at ease, you know. And I felt okay. So yeah, So I just kind of chased that, you know. For me, the disease progressed pretty damn. Sorry, excuse my language. Pretty quickly. Within, you know, a few weeks of me having that first hit and that first drink, I was pretty much doing all I could to do that every day. And pretty quickly I did that. I did as much as possible. It helped me go to sleep. It helped me wake up. It just helped me what I thought was functioning, which for that, I mean, that didn't. I don't think I ever really functioned. I could lie and tell myself from the beginning I functioned okay, but yeah, I did not. Definitely did not. But yeah. So by the time I was a senior in high school, I was doing that every day, and I started to get in trouble in school. I started doing some other stuff to kind of afford my habit and make some money that's not legal, and I got pretty involved with that for a while, and yeah, so I kept doing that, and yeah, things progressed, and remember the beginning of high school, I was living with my parents, and the first time they found out everything that I was doing, they weren't okay with it. They weren't okay with me doing that and staying with them, so they made one of those ultimatums, and I had to pick either drinking and using or staying with them, and I picked drinking or using. So for pretty much the rest of my high school senior year, I was in and out of my parents, living in cars, staying with friends, sneaking into houses, doing whatever I could do to make sure I could keep drinking and using. And yeah, so I kept getting in trouble in school. I would get in trouble with my girlfriend a lot. She didn't like what I was doing at the time. And yeah, I just kept doing that for a while until eventually I got kicked out like a week before graduation because I got caught doing the illegal stuff I was involved in at school. So that skyrocketed a lot of things, and my girlfriend at the time broke up with me, and yeah, so that definitely catapulted me and brought me towards my first bottom. But yeah, that summer after my senior year was pretty rough. I ended up in some pretty rough places. I'd been doing business with some pretty rough people. I still don't understand how I got involved with them, but yeah, they were not just alcoholics, like real bad people. And so I got mixed up with them, and I just went super downhill pretty fast, and was doing a lot of different stuff on top of drinking, and I just couldn't stop. And one day, it got to the point where I hadn't slept in a few days, and was doing a lot of crazy things, making a lot of terroristic threats. That was a trend for me in my sobriety, in my using, and in my drinking. God, hope not. I hope that doesn't ever happen again. But yeah, that was a trend in my drinking, was calling people on the phone and telling them that I was going to go kill them. So, not a great look. Yeah, so eventually, my roommates that I was with at the time were kind of tired of that because it was bringing a lot of attention to what we were doing at the house. So they basically kidnapped me and brought me to Northside Hospital, and this is my second visit to the hospital. I'd been there before, but it wasn't as bad, I guess. But yeah, they strapped me down to the table, and at some point I woke up and I was in Ridgeview, and was there for a few weeks in the psych ward, and yeah, that was interesting. But eventually I convinced them that I was okay enough for them to release me, I guess. Yeah, after maybe 3 weeks of being there, they let me out, and I told. At that point, I didn't want to go back to what I was doing exactly. So I told my parents and my family, I'm like, okay, I'll quit, and I'll stop. And I stopped for a while, and I moved in with my sister, and lived with them for a while, and I went to rehab, and I started going to meetings, and I got a sponsor, and didn't really think I was an alcoholic. Thought I just had issues with about half of the drugs that I was doing. The other half still didn't think I had an issue with. So in my head, I was like, I'll just get sober and clean for a while, and then I'll be okay, right? Just get parents off my back, get them so they're not super suspicious, and then I'll do my thing. And I got a sponsor, and I went through a good amount of the steps, and I never called anybody. I would leave right after the meeting, jet out, and I just talked to him, and yeah, I was pretty lonely. So I did that for about 6 or 7 months. Would just call him. Didn't really have many friends. Didn't really do a first step. I mean, no wonder the rest of the steps didn't work. Yeah, I guess I got to the 9th step, and at this point, I had started playing music again. My hands issues weren't as bad, so and I started reaching out to old friends, and yeah, one night after a gig, they had an after party, and they're like, "You can come, man, if you want. We know you're like coming off all that stuff, and like you don't have to come because we're gonna be drinking. It's totally understandable. You don't have to come." And I was like, "No, I'll be okay. I'll be okay. I won't drink." And then we went to Waffle House before the party, and by the time I got from the concert hall to the Waffle House, I convinced myself that I could just have one drink. And I was like, yeah, I'm just going to have one drink. It's all good. I'm not an alcoholic. Be fine. And my friends were like, okay, all right, if you think you can do that, sure, that's fine. It's cool. They don't know. I got to the party. I had that drink, and then I had another one, and I had another one, and yeah, and I got pretty drunk, and yeah, remember. I stopped counting after 6, and I remember I was drinking other people's leftovers, and yeah, so that kind of started it all over again, and I don't know, I always think about that now, like since I've been sober, and since I came back in, like I remember like going into that situation really believing in my heart that I was just going to have one, like I really thought that was what was going to happen, and just as soon as I had that first one, it's like off to the races, It's like I can't control it. I don't know what's gonna happen when I drink. It's scary, really. I really don't know what's gonna happen. And so that for me is a big reminder. Like I just don't know. Yeah, and anytime I did try to control it, which I did, there was a few times I tried to control it, and I could have one or two. And I was miserable. I hated that. That sucked. God, having one or two drinks is almost worse than having no drinks. God, it's terrible. I just don't get how I see like my sister and I have normie friends, and they'll take a drink or half a drink, and they'll just let it sit on the table, and I'm like, just doesn't make sense to me. That's just not. It doesn't comprehend. But yeah, so I did that, and a few weeks later, I was starting to do the other half of the substances that I thought I could do, and I started drinking as much as I could, and yeah, and I just started doing that. I thought I was okay for a while. I went back and I got my high school diploma. I went through like an alternative school and got it, and I went. GSU let me go to their school. Surprisingly, I had to write a letter and everything because all the stuff in my high school record, but they let me in. So I started going. I went to college, and I was there for like a month. And yeah, I was like, man, I'm doing it. I'm really managing all this stuff, and I don't know, it just seemed like a few weeks before I got sober, everything just kind of went downhill. And yeah, I was playing this gig in Norcross twice a week, and I started to notice that my drinking was affecting my playing because I heard some recordings, and I was like, ooh, that does not sound good. So I decided to stop drinking, and that was really hard, and that was about 3 weeks before I got sober. And so then I just started relying on the other stuff, and at some point that stuff just stopped working. It just did not work anymore. And I also have bipolar 2 or bipolar 1, I guess. And I had stopped taking my meds for that, and I started going pretty crazy the last week, and I was at work, and I went off on some people at work, and one of those terroristic threats came up and involved a knife, a kitchen knife. So that wasn't a good look, and I ended up, that was bad. And I called the restaurant owner, because they were telling me I had to go home and that I needed to chill out. And the restaurant owner was in the program, and I called him and said all this shit about how he needed to call a sponsor or something like that. Anyway, I ended up at a friend's house, just crazy as hell, and my brother-in-law picked me up and brought me home, and I stayed up all night and just going crazy, had a manic episode, and that day, the next day, still up, all this stuff happened. I thought my sister was trying to kill me, and I blockaded everything against the door, and I was throwing shit out the window and screaming, and the neighbors, I think, were a little concerned. So the cops came and actually ran towards the cops. I was really excited they were there for some reason. I don't know why, but I think it was obvious to the cop that I was a little too excited he was there, and he called the ambulance. And the ambulance took me back to the ward, so that was fun. So eventually, the first night, once I woke up from all the booty juice, I guess that's what they call it. I don't remember that medical thing, but whatever that is. Once I woke up from that, I remember a lady coming to talk to me, and she was like, "Man, you're gonna die if you keep doing this shit." And she pointed out some other people in the wards, that guy comes in every week. It's you're gonna end up like him, I guarantee you, if you don't get your shit together. And I thought about that a little bit that night. I still wasn't kind of come down all the way from my manic stuff, so I had to go to the quiet room that night, but a few more shots of booty juice. Later, the next day, I started thinking about it, and I'm like, man, this is not normal. This is the third time I'm here at a psych ward in the last 2 years, and it's just, none of my friends, this isn't happening to anybody else around me. I have got other friends that drink too, and this is not happening to them. There's something wrong here. And I was like, I think I need to go back to AA when I get out, and I think I have an issue here. So I eventually, after this 72 hours, they only held me there for that long. So I guess that's progress. I don't know. They let me out. I walked home, and I stayed with people for the first 2 weeks, and I went to meetings, and people drove me to meetings, and I walked to meetings, and my sister didn't. They didn't really want me over there the first 2 weeks because they were pretty upset about everything, and my parents were pretty upset. And after 2 weeks, my dad called me and said, "Hey, if you go to treatment one more time, we'll pay for it, and you can stay with us until you find a place while you're in treatment." So I did that. And did the rehab thing again, but I started going to meetings more, and I ended up going to a halfway house, and about 2 or 3 months in to sobriety, and that, my sobriety date's September 18th, 2018. So 2018, I had a few months sobriety, and I was in the halfway house, and I was going to meetings a little bit, but I still wasn't really doing much besides going to meetings. And remember, I was kind of dating a girl when I came in still, and that was on and off. That was a terrible, terrible relationship. And eventually I cut that off, and I just got to this point where, remember, I was sitting on my bed and I was just so depressed and just so unhappy, and I'm like, man, this just sucks. And it's like, I know I can't go back and drink because I know that that's not going to work anymore, but I just don't know how, like, to do the sobriety thing. And I think at some point around there, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start taking the suggestions and doing the things that everyone keeps talking about. Because everyone at AA seems, not everyone, but people that have been sober for a while seem to be pretty happy and enjoying their life. So it's got to be possible. So pretty soon after that, I called my old sponsor from the first time, and I had seen his truck at 8111, but I didn't see him. So I called them, and they said, yeah, we do this men's book study in the basement. And I went down to that, and that's where I met my sponsor that I went through the steps with when I got sober. He was at that meeting, and I talked to them and loaded all my bullshit onto them, and they were some good AA guys. I got their numbers, and I was going to ask one of them to sponsor me, but the guy that I ended up sponsoring, he called me like the next day, so I just asked him because I didn't want to wait around. And so he told me to call him every day, and that we need to start going through the book. So we set a day, and he came in and picked me up, and I remember the first day vividly. He picked me up in his truck, and I get in there, and he's like, hey, I have a gun on me, just so you know. It's right here. And I was like, okay. And then he continued to drive to this river, and we sat by this river, and we talked for like an hour, but I remember he was just like, I know who you worked with last time. I know your sponsor. We talked. He's like, he told me you're a pretty shady guy, and I know like about the pot using and the drinking. And he's like, if you're gonna work with me, like, you've got to be done with that shit. And if you're not done, then there's no point of us fucking going through the steps. And I took that to heart, and I was like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. So that was, I guess, like my first step when I came in, and we started going through the book and through the steps, and it was kind of like a 1, 2, 3 punch the way that we did it. We read through the book and read through all that stuff, and I had done I kneeled and said the 3rd step prayer with my first sponsor. I don't remember if we did something like that or not. I think we just prayed when we got to that chapter, but we went through 4 and 5, and I remember he gave me 2 weeks to do that, and he said, just write as much as you can, just get everything out, and just get it done. And so that's what I did. I sat down and I just wrote until I couldn't think of anything else. And after 2 weeks, he's like, are you ready? And I was like, I think so. And I was like, can't think of anything else. And he's like, well, then let's do it. So we did the 5th step, and it was really good. I remember, like, after that, I remember hearing people in meetings with, like, these long, like, 100-page 4th steps, and just would, like, compare myself, because mine wasn't that long, and just get up in my head about it, and compare myself, and anyway, at this point, in almost 6 years of sobriety, I probably got about that much pages combined from before I came in and since I've been sober. So, we did that, and 6 and 7 went through that. I mean, how it's laid out in the book, and 8 and 9, and step 8. We went through that. It's so important to go through all of it with a sponsor, but for me, that was so good to do that process with somebody, because he just showed me how to go about it, Like I wrote out my list, and he went through it with me, and he said, these you need to do it right now. These you need to do later. And there was one that he was like, you don't need to make amends. And that was my piano teacher that took advantage of me. I thought I owed him an amends. So that's a good sponsor, I think. Somebody that can talk through that stuff and show you what you need to do. Someone's got a lot of experience. So, but yeah, so did that, and I had a lot of good 9-step experiences. I don't think it was until I started doing my amends that I really started to feel any kind of connection with God. Before that, I was just putting in the footwork, just doing the action, praying in the morning, praying at night, and just doing it because that's what people said to do. But yeah, I remember the one amends that really made a big difference for me. The first time going through the steps with him was the guy threatened at the kitchen right before I came in. I ended up calling the manager and asking if I could meet with him one-on-one and the kitchen manager who I threatened, and he said, yeah, you can come in, we can talk. And right before I headed over there, he was like, hey, the kitchen guy doesn't want to talk to you. Yeah, he doesn't want to talk to you. I was like, that's okay. Can I still talk to you? And he said, yeah. So I went there, and I made amends to him the way that my sponsor showed me how to. The way that I make amends is, I try to look them in the eye and say, I was wrong. I try not to say I'm sorry just because I'd said that so much. I know some people that do, and that's okay. That's just not how I do it personally. So I went up to him, and I said I was wrong for doing all those things that I did, and for saying this to you and calling you up and taking your inventory. And I told him all the stuff I was doing in the parking lot, and was able to look him in the eye and make that right. I think that's so important, to do those in-person amends. They're so powerful, and it's just a lot of healing that can come from that. But so we did that, and that was really good. And he asked the guy to come out, or he said he told me, let me see if I can get the kitchen guy to come out. And the kitchen guy came out, and he looked kind of, he didn't look super happy to see me. He looked a little sketched out, which is understandable. And but I got to make amends to him, and look him in the eye, and make that right with him. And we both kind of teared up, and he gave me a hug, and he forgave me, and it was just really, really cool, that whole experience. And he left, and the manager, told me before I left, he was like, I've known that guy for like 6 or 7 years, and I've never seen him like that. He's like, that meant a lot. And so that was definitely, I went out of my car, and I just felt like at peace, finally after doing that. And really feeling like I think there is a God, and I felt that connection, and really it was like, I think this is going to work. And I've had a bunch of other cool amends experiences since then. But yeah, just that's really for me where a good bit of the healing really started. But yeah, so that's kind of what happened. Somewhere between the 4th step and after going through those amends, I really started to feel that psychic change where that obsession left. When I was drinking and using, like, the way that I think of the obsession is I was thinking about it. I was either thinking about it, I was doing it, or I was coming off of it. It was always those 3 things. Like, it was always that cycle. And at some point after, getting through a chunk of the steps, after the 9th step, I felt free from that. Like, I wasn't thinking about drinking all day, every day. But still, every once in a while, yeah, I have a thought pop up. Still today, I'll have a thought pop up. But it's passing, it's not the obsession. So So that's cool. I mean, that's definitely the biggest gift out of many gifts that I've gotten from AA. That was the biggest one, being finally released from that shit. 'Cause that shit sucks. That's terrible. God, that's hell right there. But but yeah. So and then 10, 11, and 12. Those are all daily things, for me that I have to do. I gotta watch my thought life, and I gotta catch when my thoughts are going towards not so good places, and when I do slip up and do something that I regret, I gotta make that right, and I gotta talk to people a lot, and I gotta pray, and I gotta do all that kind of stuff every day. To maintain my condition and to grow. Those steps are growth and maintenance steps. They're both for me. But yeah, so continue to do that. And 11, waking up in the morning, still do that every day, and I try to pray. Say a lot of the big book prayers, third step prayer, the 11th step prayer, serenity prayer, and a lot of times these days I just talk and just ask God that I can trust Him more and rely upon Him more, and I try to say that throughout the day too, and developing that relationship with a higher power has changed over the course of my sobriety, and what my conception of that thing when I came in is different than it is now. And, I'm really happy for good sponsorship. My sponsor told me when we were going through steps, it's nobody's business what your higher power is. Just find something that works for you and pursue it and grow. And I think that's really important, I try not to tell anybody what they should or should not believe. It's all our own path with that. But yeah, I want to talk about what it's been like now since I've been in sobriety, because a lot of good things and mainly good things have happened. I've had some tough things too. I'll start with a few good things. When I was in my first 2 years of sobriety, I started getting interested in traveling and road tripping, and I went on my first solo road trip at 2 years sobriety, and that was really cool and a lot of fun. And I started getting interested in things, and I decided to. I got really interested in cultures and languages, and I started going back to college for that. I guess it was right after 2021. I went back to school, and so I've been able to go to college and get back to that and pursue different interests that have been really cool. I wouldn't have been able to do that without the program and without AA. And I've had a lot of cool opportunities come from that. That's a total blessing. Family, there's definitely been some growth there. I definitely get along way better with my family now. The first couple of years was kind of up and down. I had to do a lot of inventory about my dad. I had all this built up resentment with my dad for a long time, and I worked on that a lot. Did an inventory with somebody, and he had me do all these actions because I moved back in with my parents when I was 2 years sober, and that's when I started going back to college too. So that was a huge adjustment, trying to figure out how to live with them. There's a spiritual teacher that talks about if you think that you're spiritual and super calm and peaceful, go spend a weekend with your parents and see how you feel after that. So yeah, I've been kind of living that the past 4 years. It was definitely an adjustment, but I've really tried to apply the things that he taught me about that. He told me to, just find ways to spend time with them and just be nice. Just be nice to your parents, right? What a crazy idea that is. So I just tried to start being nice, and I tried to find ways of being service to them. I just tried to be the best house guest possible. I try to clean up like really well, and even if because they're OCD as hell. So I just try to serve and just do whatever I can to be helpful. And my dad likes to tell these really bad jokes, and I used to just make fun of him all the time for it and be an asshole. So I just started laughing at his jokes, even though I didn't think they were funny. And that in itself did a lot, actually. I don't know, that and being nice to him and just trying to find ways to connect just really improved our relationship a lot. Still having boundaries, for sure, but yeah, now actually, sometimes he makes jokes and I actually think they're kind of funny now, so I don't know what that says about me. But yeah, now, I mean, another thing AA taught me is just like how to get along with people. I mean, the traditions are so important and so helpful. The principles before personalities. Me and my parents, we don't religious, politics, all that stuff, complete opposite. We don't see eye to eye at all. And but I've found a way to connect with them and find other ways to be of service and have a relationship with them, and we get along today, and that goes for my whole family. Our whole family is probably split on lots of different things, a lot of outside issues, but because of AA and the program and showing me how to love people and take those issues out, it's really helped me a lot grow my relationships with family and people outside. So yeah, so that's been helpful. That's really cool to see. Yeah, and yeah, I've been able to do other cool stuff. I went to Ecuador a few years ago and studied there for a bit. Actually ended up in the hospital from a dancing in the club incident. So dancing in the club sober, definitely possible and a lot of fun. Or it can be a lot of fun once you're ready for that. So it's cool. Once the obsession left and being released from that, I'm able to go anywhere in the world and hang out with anybody, and I don't have that desire to drink anymore. That's just really cool to me. Of course, I have to be careful and be mindful where my head's at, and I've got to make sure I'm in good spiritual conditions before I do certain things. But yeah, there's no limit. So, but yeah, Ecuador was awesome. I ended up in the hospital. That was cool. Yeah, they really took care of me there. It was cool, and I was at peace the whole time I was there, and I had a great experience. I think if that happened when I was younger, when I was still drinking, I would have just found all the negatives in that situation. But it was great. I missed out on a few things, but it was cool. I was in Ecuador, and then yeah, I've been able to do some other stuff. I just got back from Spain. I was over there for a few months studying. That was really cool. But I'm gonna jump back also from 2 years ago. I had some kind of hard stuff going on in sobriety. I was working a lot and was doing this intense sales job and working 70, 80 hours a week, and I was barely hitting one meeting a week and just wasn't taking care of myself. And I ended up in a psych ward in sobriety because I wanted to kill myself. And I checked myself in there, and yeah, so things went off the rail a few years ago for sure. And I got out, and I had to go through the steps again, and I had to take some actions, and I had some more growth and some more things that I had to learn. going through the steps again with a new sponsor, because my sponsor had been with me, had moved, so I was with a new sponsor at this point, and that was a really great experience. And yeah, that was some really cool stuff. I got to look at new character defects that have popped up, and one of them was like perfectionism, and I think up until I got into AA, I always heard like perfectionism is like a good thing, right? Like it means you're a perfectionist. Like that's what I heard growing up. But I realized it was really a character defect, and I heard this guy on a speaker tape talk about it, and he said the perfectionist really sees himself as a failure deep down inside, and that hit me so hard because all my life and through sobriety, I just want I want to do all control and put my hands on however I can make this thing perfect, and if it's not perfect, it's not good enough. So that came out in that fourth step, and I had a lot of pride stuff going on too, because like I got in that sales job and I left my parents' house, and I didn't want to go back and tell them I failed, and just had all this ego shit going on. So I thought it'd be a good idea. Suicide sounded like a better idea than going and just admitting that I'd failed. So I definitely had some pride stuff that I had to look at, and I was like, why is that so important? So that was good, and yeah, I just didn't really. I found myself at a point of sobriety where I just didn't love myself that much. I just didn't like who I was, and I had all this stuff, this bull crap going on where it's like, oh, I'm an alcoholic. I've got all this mental health issues, like why, like why did God do this? Why did this? Blah blah blah. And yeah, a lot of that stuff came out in the fourth step, and now through that process, I've realized, yeah, these are realities about who I am, but I'm able to help people because of it now. Because I'm an alcoholic, I can help somebody else that's an alcoholic. When I'm working with somebody new in the program that has bipolar or some kind of mental health, I'm like, hey, like I've got that too, but I don't have to drink, and I'm okay. I take meds, I take care of myself, I do this, this, and this, and like, I'm okay most days, So it's really that has kind of flipped. I'm really grateful now that's part of who I am now. It's really a blessing. And yeah, the perfectionism stuff, yeah. So I'm my second language is Spanish. So the last year or two, that has been like my cross to bear, I guess, because like learning to speak another language and being in another country and speaking that second language, I mean, you just have to find some acceptance at some point that you're not going to speak correctly all the time. Like that's just been like a tool lately that I've just like, I just got to be okay with not being perfect, and that's really been a huge teacher in my life. Saying stuff that sounds ridiculous and getting laughed at, and being like, it's okay, and just keep going. And yeah, I think that's really helped me a lot with that stuff. But yeah, it's something I still have to continue looking out for, and I feel like I'm doing a little better about it these days. But yeah, and then I guess I got like 1 or 2 minutes left. Maybe, I don't know. Is that 1 or 2 minutes? So yeah, so now so I just got back from Spain, and that was really great, and that was an awesome experience. I'm really grateful for it. I really grew and changed a lot through that experience, and I got to go to meetings in Spain too, and that was really cool. And I've got some Spaniards now that are on my AA directory, and that was cool. And I've been trying to hit Spanish-speaking meetings since I've been in the U.S. too, to try to just build that community as well. But that was really cool. The end of the trip was kind of rough. I was in a pretty serious relationship like the last year, a little over a year, which was really great. But it actually ended. She came over to Spain, and we actually broke up in Spain. So that was pretty tough, and I'm still kind of dealing with that and dealing with all the feelings and all the grieving of that. But yeah, that's so now I'm kind of in a new I guess stage right now of growth. Hopefully there's some growth that comes out of it. But through all that, I haven't had to take a drink, and the relationship ended, I guess, just as about as good they can. I mean, like there was no crazy fights or anything bad that happened, and you know that's pretty big deal for someone like me, because in the past, in my using, I mean, if we broke up, I mean, I was gonna cuss you out and break your shit and like not be cool at all. So yeah, AA has definitely given me some cool tools to work with. And you know, sometimes things don't work out, and it's not personal, you know. It's just life, you know. That's a big thing I've learned since I've been sober, is not everything's so personal, you know. And just learning to understand that and have grace on myself, and you know, not beat myself up too much. And my last sponsor, last time I went through the steps, he had me do this prayer that I try to say most days. I kind of stopped for a while, but I'm trying to do it again. It's like, God loves you, God made you this way, and He loves you. You're not on your own. And I try to repeat that to myself a lot, because I need that, you know. And some mirror work helps too, you know. That's also helpful. I know it's about to come to a close, so I just wanted to maybe read something out of the book. Oh yeah, one more thing. I've been doing service work too lately, and that's been cool. Like I like took the GSR position for my group, and so now I'm like learning about all that stuff. So that's like another layer that's been really cool. And service work, I mean, that's like just a great way to stay involved, and like, you know, service work keeps you sober. So even though I'm not feeling great most days, the last few weeks, yeah, I'm not feeling great most days, but I try to stay active and calling people, and I'm trying to be the best servant, I guess, I can, and doing that combined with prayer and hoping that'll get me to the other side. Yeah, I just want to read something real quick, and I'll close out. It says, this is page 33, about more about alcoholism. It says, young people may be encouraged by this man's experience to think that they can stop, as he did, on their own willpower. We doubt if many of them can do it, because none will really want to stop, and hardly one of them, because of the peculiar mental twist already acquired, will find he can win out. Several of our crowd, men of 30 or less, had been drinking only a few years, but they found themselves as helpless as those who had been drinking 20 years. To be gravely affected, one does not necessarily have to drink a long time, nor take the quantities some of us have. Certain drinkers who would be greatly insulted if called alcoholics are astonished at their inability to stop. We who are familiar with the symptoms see large numbers of potential alcoholics among young people everywhere. And when I read that coming in, that just really helped me as somebody young, because I just wanted to find all the differences. And thanks, guys, for having me up here.
Thank you once again, Brandon, for your story. It was very inspirational for me, and I heard a lot of the similarities in my story and your story. Happy.
First I slept, and then I crept to a hope-filled dream. You rescued me, and finally, waking there I see. I look into love's window for a soul that's meant for me. Takes me where Sometimes quickly, sometimes slow, we get just what we need. On a broad highway, stride for stride, we walk eternally. Look into love's window, for a heart that beats for me. Takes me where the promises are real. And I always long for something that sets me free. And I'd run to a world in harmony. See love as a vision that one day would appear to me. Take me where the promises are real. Take me where the promises are